morning and welcome to Face to Face. I'm Niresh Eliyatambi. Sri Lanka has been going through tough times for several years now, and the people have repeatedly asked for a system change. And one would have expected that there would have been some kind of change over the last few years, especially since the Aragalaya. But in recent times we see that the government and the country seem to be going from one scandal to another. In Parliament, outside Parliament, within ministries and so on. The latest, of course, was when a member of Parliament was unseated by the Supreme Court, no less, on the grounds that she is not a citizen of this country, which is absolutely scandalous, and we seem to lack a lot of common sense in these matters. So where is the law? Where is the application of the law? And to discuss these matters, today we have with us Member of Parliament Niroshan Pereira, representing the Puttlam district, and you are of course a member of the SJB, and we have Attorney at Law Harshana Nanayakkara, representing the NPP. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm going to address my first question to you, Niroshan. So when an MP is so unceremoniously unseated from Parliament by the Supreme Court, what is the reaction of other members of Parliament? Is there a sense of shame, or is it just something which was expected? What is your reaction?
So it was a sad day for Parliament. Actually, people expect members of Parliament to uphold the law because they are elected to represent the country and the people. And when the members are not honest enough to actually reveal their citizenship, I think it's a big problem in this country. On the other hand, we have to look how she was able to manipulate the system and what we can do to prevent these kinds of things happening in the future. So I think that's very important. And of course, regarding the system change, you have to remember that we have the same people in power that we had during Aragalaya. Only the president has changed, and he's also a hostage to the government members of Parliament. So nothing is going to change much till we have a national election, and the people are given the power to elect suitable people back into Parliament and office.
Well, elections are of course coming up. At least we have the presidential election scheduled sometime now in September or October, and one would assume that the general election would follow shortly after that. So let me get to you, Harshana.
I'm in agreement with what Niroshan observed. In fact, I will add a little more. As much as it's sad and shocking that a member of Parliament who is supposed to uphold the law has concealed her true identity, what is more shocking is that we have a system of law which takes about 3-4 years and a private litigant's effort to figure out that somebody is not a citizen, which goes on to show what the Aragalaya was echoing. There are no systems in place, right? When you say rule of law is not about just punishing offenders and individuals. That is part of it. But part of it is to have open, transparent and accountable system of governance and law enforcement. Not selective law enforcement, but uniform application regardless of caste, creed and everything. Now, whereas Niroshan actually pointed out the absolutely correct thing, that is, although in 2022 they asked for a system change, nothing changed. Nothing changed. Basically what happened was a complete, funny democratic turn. Funny though, because we remember Gotabaya was brought into power simply by saying no to Ranil Wickremesinghe. So 6.9 million people voted saying no to Ranil Wickremesinghe. And somehow out of that no vote of 6.9, Ranil Wickremesinghe managed to be the president of the country that he was rejected. Right? So now people are wondering, and when Mahinda Rajapaksa unceremoniously left, that means the validity of the parliament is also at stake. Now what should have happened at that moment in time, after caretaker the government for a while, to call for a proper fresh mandate, so people would have appointed a new set of people. So nothing is going to change, as very rightly pointed by Niroshan, that nothing has changed. So it will continue till the next election comes and people are able and willing to appoint a new set of people who will carry the country forward.
Now, you said that we don't have systems, but actually we do have systems. It's simply that they are not applied at all, isn't it? Now, for example, you would think in a country where we have national identity card numbers, passport numbers, driving license numbers, voters lists, you name it. Our names are on 100 different lists. So it's very easy to figure out who's who. And remember that in Sri Lanka, everyone knows everyone. So everyone knows, so and so went to that school, was a classmate of this person, so and so migrated, all that. And yet, like you said, it takes years to figure out the nationality of a member of parliament. So it seems like a total breakdown of so many systems.
So I think there's enough technology in the world where this is a very simple process where you can check if she came on a British passport to Sri Lanka, or if she is a dual citizen. Or it's very easy. Those are databases are maintained, so it's very easy. I think the problem is the political system, because the political system allows people to actually go on a different route and do these things. I remember when this scandal was going on, the president was in parliament inside the chamber, and the opposition was asking him how this particular member got a diplomatic passport. He made a joke and he just left the chamber. So if he was very serious, he could have ordered his ministers or the immigration to check her, and we wouldn't have to wait this long to find out that she was a British citizen.
Again, to add to what Niroshan was saying, not to disagree, but selective application of the law. That means those who are in power with money and power, a different set of laws tend to apply to them. But for the average citizen like you and me, another level of law gets applied. Now, are you telling me that we cannot figure out who are the illegal immigrants here? I'm sure we can, right? But it is a selective application of the law, and this is a problem that has been running for a couple of decades in this country, at least from 1977 onwards, or it could be even before that, but we can see jolly well how the law and order has been deteriorating. This political culture, as very rightly pointed by Niroshan, that is, there's a corrupt political culture which they can commit various things against the law with impunity, right? And unless you bring law and order to such a situation now, why are we so happy when we see an MP in a foreign parliament, right? I mean, he's standing in the queue to get his thing done. Or I think Boris Johnson got fined or warned or something for not wearing a mask or during Corona time.
That's right.
We are happy because we see the law has been applied from top to bottom. People have more patience and more tolerance with a system like that than a system where they feel the politicians are protected by the application of the law and the only others have to pay the price for it. So that's why people are angry, you see. That's why they're asking for the system change.
No, you're quite right about how happy we feel as Sri Lankans when we see the law being properly applied in another country. Because now, just today I was reading a news report where the former Prime Minister of Fiji, who had served as Prime Minister for 15 years, has been sentenced to 1 year in jail for simply asking the police commissioner to block a bribery investigation. And that Prime Minister had stepped down in 2022, 2 years ago, and then he had been charged along with the police commissioner. And finally, the case didn't take very long, and it has gone through the appeals and so on. And that former Prime Minister is now heading to jail. So, when I read that, I mean, I don't know anyone in Fiji, but it gives one a certain feeling of happiness that, yes, the laws are applied in certain countries. Niroshan, what do you think about, that kind of attitude coming in Sri Lanka?
I think it's a very good observation. Also, I want to add some of the delays in our judicial system. So that also takes a toll where justice is served, but it's delayed. So I think we should have a serious discussion about reforms in the judicial system. And I think we can use, as I said before, we can use technology. And through Parliament, we can change our laws and make it easier and for people to get the justice they deserve. So I think with that kind of a change, I think people will have more confidence in the system in this country. So I think that's where we should focus in the next couple of years.
Niroshan really touched on a very pertinent point. That is the law's delays. They're saying justice delayed is justice denied. We've heard that so many times. In Sri Lanka, I'm a practicing lawyer, an attorney at law, practicing criminal law. I see some cases get dragged down to 7, 8, 9 years. Some child abuse cases, the child victim does not even remember to give evidence because she has grown up. Right? So there are delays, serious delays. If you take a land case or a partition case, that's an entire generation or a family will argue on that.
Absolutely.
So, and for people to get confidence, it must be timely, done in a timely fashion. But I'm not going to pinpoint my finger at the Attorney General or the police or the CID or just one branch. We have bottlenecks on all the branches, lack of coordination, sometimes lack of resources, and also lack of knowledge, and sometimes attitudinal. Now, even if you go to a courthouse here, even if you win a case, are you going to come back saying, oh, I'm happy how I got served at the courthouse? No. You say, I went so many days, I was frustrated, I had to stay for this and that, yada, yada, yada. Our courts are not what you call customer service oriented. Customers are not happy, right?
The customers being the citizens.
Citizens, we are the customers. Now, we are not happy because you go there, there's no proper toilet, there's no proper waiting area, right? I mean, you dread to go to the courthouses. All decent citizens, all educated, honorable people, they don't like to go to courts. How you get rustified. So, it has to be reformed, as saying, not just the content, but the procedures as well. The entire attitude has to change. We have to gear justice towards customer service, the taxpayer. He must get a benefit. People must have access to justice. Now, for an example, I'll do this and finish. Now, when you say access to justice, what is important is the cost of litigation for people.
Right.
It's prohibitive. So, many poorer people will not take on cases simply because they cannot afford the lawyers. So, government must come up with court structures and systems where people could litigate in any country where rule of law is there. One of the main components is access to justice. That means empowering the citizen. For an example, if your fundamental rights have been violated, you have to come to the Supreme Court in Colombo. Even if you're in Jaffna or Hambantota or Badulla for the same thing. Now, can't we have an administrative system? Can't we consider a system where a branch of the Supreme Court can function in those areas as well? So, while agreeing with him, I added more meat to it, saying that system has to be completely cleaned up and overhauled to bring people's confidence back.
But now, Niroshan, we tend to blame our politicians and also the system of justice, the police, the AG's department and so on. But it goes far beyond that, don't you think? That even you get the CEB, the CPC, the Railways Department, all kinds of departments in this country where the civil servants are not doing their job properly. How do you change that attitude?
I'm a member of the Committee on Public Accounts. So all these ministries and institutions, they come in front. And actually what I have observed is they don't want to change. They want to go on the same path, same types of system, same type of technology. So that attitude is there. So we have been trying even through Parliament to introduce digital technology that will help them to serve the citizens better and faster. So that has been, I think, a very hard thing to do inside these some of these institutions. So I think that should be a priority for the next government, where you should focus on this delivering service to the citizens, where the citizen can go to any branch of the government and he should be able to get a quick and efficient service. Otherwise, actually, if you look at the economic activities as well, the economic activity and the investments, they are not actually coming in because of this red tape inside the government.
Where also I will add, and my answer slightly differs. Yes, you are right. We can't just blame the politician. There's a serious problem in the civil service. They're lazy, they don't work, their general attitude. Now that is not far from wrong, because when you go to a government, things to get something done, you understand the situation. But having said that, I was wondering, now when the same kind of people go to Japan or Korea, they tend to work far better. People are happy with that performance. They're also happy at the workplace. What we have is a situation where I feel, okay, fine, there are corrupt individuals, yes, there are lethargic fellows, I'm not denying that. I'm not trying to whitewash all of them. But it cannot be the entire government service. But how it has been structured is putting off people from hard work. They're not happy at the workplace. Now, happiness at a workplace doesn't come just with the salary. Now, salary plays a huge role, I'm not saying that. But you need to have job satisfaction also. If you look at some court staff, they work like dogs, right? But they hardly have a place to eat lunch properly, to have some running water. They're thinking about no daycare facility for their child at home, so they're thinking about the child. And some of them are planned to leave by 4 o'clock because they know after 4:30 their area does not have any transport service. So all those things also affect a person's performance in the workplace.
Right.
So while agreeing with what Nirosh said, some of them are corrupt and lethargic, while we have to address that, there are other supporting issues to make a employee efficient. And one of the most important things is to have a system in place, right? Now, if you have a system, now he spoke a very valid point, that is about investments. Investment not coming in. Absolutely. Mainly due to corruption. Who's going to come and invest in a country when they feel their investment is not safe? If there's something goes wrong, they can't go and assert their rights before an authority because of the red tape or bureaucracy or some other jargon. Take it this way. If the minister is a dishonest man, he's going to keep the secretary around him who's also dishonest. And like that, you can have this particular circle being placed in all decision-making places in a department or a ministry.
Right.
So, not to say that out of, say, let's say 80,000 in the police force, I'm not saying all 80,000 are corrupt. Maybe there are 2,000 or 3,000, minus the guys who take the fan from the road. I will address that separately. But when they are placed in those decision-making places, they can exert a lot of influence. So then, even the security at the gate of the ministry will wonder, if my bosses can do this, why can't I? So, while agreeing that there are issues in the government service, this lethargy and laziness, which has to be addressed, it is just not that the people are lazy. They've been pushed to that level of decades of corruption and political appointees and influences, because they feel if we do something, we get pulled out by ministers' people. Some people don't want to do anything right. So it has to be a holistic approach, to reform the government service sector.
What I see is in Sri Lanka, our society is very much one where we follow our leaders, unfortunately. And so a change, do we need a top-down approach? Start at the top and, set the example? Because at the moment what happens is an office assistant who takes a bribe of 500 rupees or a police officer, a police constable who takes 1,000 rupees could get sentenced to several years in jail. And that does happen. But that is not a deterrent at all. It does not stop the other office assistants from continuing to take bribes or ask for bribes. It doesn't stop the occasional traffic policeman from doing the same. So do we need a top-down approach?
Yeah, so I think first we need to clean up the political system. Then we can focus on the civil servants. So the political system can really be changed by the voter. So voter has to understand the person he's using the vote for, he has to evaluate whether that person is a rogue or a thief. So it has to be done properly. I have seen, like, although people say, okay, we are not going to vote for rogues, but sometimes their friend or their colleague or their caste or their village or their religion, or that guy came to my funeral, he came to my wedding. Those kinds of decisions are taken without really fighting the corruption. So that has been a very big mistake on the part of the voters in this country. So that attitude has to change. I think if we can have a clean parliament, I think that clean parliament can actually they can even control the president, right, without just going after his ministries or getting some tenders and doing various kinds of things. If they are honest in parliament, the parliament can, because the parliament has control over money in this country. So I think first we need to clean up parliament, and then we can focus on other areas.
A clean parliament is essential. Now many get into politics with the intention of carrying out some form of business to earn money. First we have to make this back again, like before 77, how people felt it was a social service. Now prior to 1977, many who got elected to the parliament or the local council, it was more like being a member of the golf club or something like that. Only prestige.
Right.
There was no financial dependency on the parliament. But now it's completely different. Now they're coming, for the permit, to how to make some kickbacks or something like that. So I believe to do that, it's a top to bottom approach. Top to bottom. Because top has to set an example. Now, as much as I agree taking a 500 rupees from a cop in the street is also wrong, must be dealt with, but we have to look at the top, because those ones, poverty related, I'm not trying to belittle it, it's wrong, but still those can be addressed by improving the economic situation of the country. Right. This 500 rupees or the 1,000, but not those big ones, not the immunoglobulin, that kind of thing. You can't fix it. You have to apply the law. So I think it's correct that we have to clean up politics, and I have the same request that he has to the people at the next election. If somebody is your friend or from your school or from your village and you really like him because he came for your father's funeral, invite him for a cup of tea at home, but don't vote for him. Vote for honest, clean people. I will go to an extent saying, now let's say SJB has a different set of policies, so do we have. Now it's okay, because in the parliament, if both of us are honest, we will put our policies, we'll fight with our policy, and the best policy will win, and the country will benefit. But what if Niroshan and I are corrupt? And then we are arguing and putting things in parliament, not because any goodness of the policies, but depending on who's going to give us the better kickback. So what I'm saying is, a healthy democracy means a conflict of good policies by honest men and women. So this is what we have to create. This is what we have to create in the parliament.
Yes. So a lot of good points coming up in the conversation here. And don't go away. We'll take a short break and be right back.
Newsfirst, face to face.
People shouldn't be afraid of their government. Instead, governments should be afraid of their people.
NPP is by design, and it's not only in Sri Lanka, even out of Sri Lanka as well.
I had to go to my cabinet minister secretary even to get a small thing passed.
That's a different question. The authorities are there. Why aren't you going in?
The integrity was compromised by the bribery commission.
The chairman of the party does not attend when you all sign a MOU with GLP and Nalagodeva, which is quite important.
Who was trying to safeguard the robbers of central bank.
We know in Sri Lanka there are issues.
Inquiry was going on.
People wanted Gotabaya, right? People elected him.
But what we can see is that it has certainly stalled. There is no public record of what these cases were.
In particular, the things are very severe when President is also the Minister of Finance.
I will give you a post how it came about. It was not argued in the parliament. It was not even put on the cabinet. It was forced down the throat of the people of this country without an election.
We live in a world of progress. But what if progress isn't reaching everyone? Millions of Sri Lankans struggle without access to clean water, safe roads and bridges to a better life. But you have reached out. You have touched their lives. Thank you, Sri Lanka, for making Gammadda the most impactful rural development movement in our nation. Gammadda, for the people, by the people.
සිම්පත හරියට ලියාපදිංචි කරගෙන තියෙන්න ඕන. සමහරවිම දන්නෙත් නැහැනේ.
මේ සිම්පත කොයි තරම් වැදගත්ද කියලා මේ දුරකථන පාවිච්චි කරන හැම දෙනාම දන්නේ නැහැ කියලා තමයි මම කියන්නේ.
මැයි වලින් පස්සේ ලොකු ගංවතුර තත්ත්වයක් එන්න නියමිතයි කියලා. කාලකුණ විද්‍යාඥයින් අනතුරු අංගවන පසුබිමක ඔබ කොයි විදිහටද මේ අපේ තෙත්බිම් සම්බන්ධයෙන් දකින්නේ?
කොළඹ නගරයේ තියෙන නාගරික තෙත්බිම් වලින් 21%ක් තියෙන නාගරික තෙත්බිම් වලින් වැසි ජලයෙන් 39%ක් රඳවා ගන්න බව.
දැන් විලත් නගරයේ අපි කටයුතු කරන කට්ටිය දැන් එනවා පරිපාලනය නගරයට. ඔතන මේ දන්න හැටි අපි ගත්තොත් අලවතුගොඩ. එහෙම නැත්නම් කිඹුලවල ප්‍රදේශයේ අපිට තියෙනවා රැයට කෑම කඩ. ඉස්සර ඒක තිබ්බේ කොහෙද? කොළඹ. දැන් ගොඩ දෙනෙක් ඒ පැත්තට එන්න පටන් ගන්න. මොකද ඒගොල්ලන්ට අර කොළ පාට ගතිය. ඒ තියෙන බ්‍රීස් එක කියන්නේ ඇඟට දැනෙන වෙනස අනිවාර්යෙන් දැනෙනවා.
ජාතික මෙහෙවර සතියේ දිනවල උදෑසන 11ට.
Newsfirst, face to face.
Welcome back to Face to Face. We are in conversation with Niroshan Pereira, Member of Parliament, and Attorney at Law Harshana Nayakkara. Now, Niroshan, Harshana made an interesting point about the immunoglobulin scandal. Again, what we saw, not just the minister, but there have been so many arrests, ministry secretary and so many heads of departments within that system who should have provided checks and balances, but it didn't happen. What is your opinion on that?
So if you look at the system in Sri Lanka, the politicians alone, they can't steal. You have to have the officers, civil servants, and you have to have the business community.
That's an interesting statement. The politicians alone can't steal.
Yes.
Some of them are not that knowledgeable even to steal.
Yes.
They're being assisted by these crafty government servants, some of them.
Yeah. So because if you look at the way the ministry operates, the money is being handled by the civil servants or the secretary. So you have to get all these three parties together.
Right.
To have corruption. So I think that's very important, that while we focus on politicians also, and we focus on the secretaries or the officers, we look at the business community also. Because some in the business, not all, but some in the business community, they are thriving by using these tenders and other various ways of making money. Sometimes, if you look at the health ministry matter, I mean, people, they lost lives, you know. I mean, that's a very serious case of corruption and murder. So I think judiciary has to move very fast to actually build up the confidence that, you know, the citizens of this country feel that they are powerless in front of these individuals. So I think that's the system change that we are all talking about. And if you look at, the Easter Sunday attack, which was very open, and we have so much of evidence that was covered up, still we can't get justice for those people. 269 people have died, over 500 injured, and the church and even inside Parliament we have been presenting evidence, but the ministers and the government, they are turning a blind eye to all the evidence which are there in front of them.
So usually when one turns a blind eye to such activities, then it means that one has a certain interest in it as well. That's if you talk to any police detective, the motive factor comes in. Don't you agree?
There was a thing. He was a great old government analyst. His name was Maaja Mendis. He was a government analyst, amazing, talented man. He's retired. He's in Morato now. He once met me. He's a man who could match a bullet in the crime scene with a piece of hair, without much technology. The old school, superb guy called Mr. Mendis, M.A.J. Mendis. He tells me, Harshana, our police and the CID and investigative arms are very good. They can catch criminals, no problem. There are two instances, he says, that they cannot catch the criminal. He says, one, when a crime has not taken place. Secondly, when there's a government involved in the crime. In both instances, he says that you cannot catch a criminal. Now, talking about the East attack even, we don't have to talk about it. His Eminence, the Cardinal, serve the biggest charge sheet against the existing system for not delivering justice to people. Remember, justice should not only be done, it must be seen to be done as well.
Absolutely.
So in a timely fashion, these things must happen. After holding protests, marches and writing to the papers, if an indictment comes, that means a problem. That means people have to beg and moan for justice. But that should not be the case.
That is the case in most scandals. It comes out through the media.
This is a change
or through social media.
This is a change people are asking for. So
But
whoever comes to power next time will have to make sure that this aspect of justice to be delivered.
So now you gentlemen both represent two parties which are competing for office in the next election. But whichever party does win, and it's all still up in the air, but whichever party does win will have its work cut out to make this system change. What do you say to that?
Yeah, so it's very important. Even, I mean, let's say SJB government comes into power, I think our challenge is to actually get rid of corruption. So it can be a SJB member. I have been telling my party also, we should be able to put him in jail if he's corrupt. And that should be the standard we should all try to achieve in this country. Most of the time you are going after your opponents and try to put them in jail using...
But that doesn't seem to happen very much in Sri Lanka.
No, I think we need to...
The opponents don't
yeah,
seem to go to jail.
I mean, if you look at all the developed countries, that's the paths they took. I mean, the absolute no corruption should be the standard we should set. Otherwise, I think when you talk about the investors or economic activity or social justice, we can't talk about it because other countries have gone past us. I mean, we can't be sitting at the same place and saying, oh, we have this country, we have this small island, and every time you go, the president invites foreign investors to come, but nobody comes. He has gone on so many foreign visits, but nobody has come to Sri Lanka other than political investors, you know. So that's a serious
fly-by night operators.
Yes, so that's a serious issue that we should address. Otherwise, our youth have started going overseas, looking for employment and even getting citizenship abroad. So that trend has to be reversed because we are losing valuable citizens in this country.
Absolutely. And when it comes to foreign investment, there's no point the president and high-powered delegations going out there and spinning a good yarn about how wonderful Sri Lanka is, when actually all you have to do is Google Sri Lanka and you get scandal after scandal coming up. And then if you're an investor, Harshana, what would you do?
Forget about this global investment thing. Think of yourself personally that you want to invest in a particular, say, village. Now, if you felt that when something goes wrong, my investment is not safe because whatever the system there is corrupt, will you invest yourself any money there? No. International investors is the same. They are coming here to make a profit. They need policy predictions. They need policy stability, right? You can't have a government where we say one policy on by the 1st of January, by second week of March to change it. So they have to revamp it all over again. So we have to fight corruption. And as you know, National People's Power, that has been our platform right throughout. From the word go, that is, we are against this corrupt, wasteful political culture, is going to change. So good luck with SJB. They are also promising the same. So either way the country will benefit. But believe me, whoever comes to power, within a year, if you don't demonstrate your sincerity on the direction you are heading, their plight will be far worse than Gotabes. So this is not the election. One must say whatever one must say to win it. Only say things that you can do. And National People's Power, we are firmly of the view it can be done. But yes, you are right, corruption has to be fought tooth and nail. Zero tolerance on waste and corruption. Otherwise, there's not an inch forward.
So that's quite true, that whoever wins this election is going to be in a very tight spot. What do you say to that?
Yes, we are going to have a big challenge with the IMF program and the foreign debt restructuring. As you know, the government is not very responsive regarding what they are doing with the foreign debt restructuring. We hope that they don't go into a bad deal with
Right.
the creditors, and get the new government coming in to handle
in a heap of trouble.
all the burden that's going to we have to face. So I think it's very important, and even the IMF program has been very tough on the Sri Lankan citizenry. So I think we have to look how we can get the economic growth, because if you look at the numbers, you have to have at least a 6.5% growth to come out of this debt trap. So we have to actually change our attitudes and the economic system and the political systems all at once, and we have to go and get the economic growth and the resources we need to pay off our debt.
But now we're talking about 6.5% growth, but we are nowhere near that. We're not even we're around 2% or less. And to get up to 5-6%, we definitely need foreign direct investment, which brings us back to the whole point
back
of
to square one.
Who's
going to invest when there's corruption?
Exactly, who's going to invest?
Yeah, it's not only corruption; it's the efficiency of the economic system in this country. So, if you have a very efficient economic system in another country, the foreign investor will go there. He will not even look at Sri Lanka. So, there, I mean, if you look at the BOI or the EDB, I think we have to change a lot of laws in this country to make it more suitable for the current foreign investor to come and invest here. Otherwise, they will just go to India, which is a very better place.
Not only foreign investors, even for local investors. I mean, we have to increase the service of goods and production and find a market overseas. Otherwise, we're not going to get any dollars. So we have to make even for local investors, the ease of doing business must be increased. There must be what I call economic democracy. That means people must have access to information, development projects, business opportunities, so the average citizen can also make, I mean, what is economics at the end of the day? There must be money coming inside your house, right? And you must have happiness also, not just money. I mean, you can have growth of 2%, 6%, all on books. But we have to look at whether they're being reasonably distributed as well in some way or the other. So I firmly
employment is one of the key factors.
Yeah, you have to make sure investors come, right? To create employment, there should be increase of service and goods, which means we have to help the local entrepreneur as well as foreign investment. But we have to look after the local entrepreneur. How many local enterprises are getting closed down due to lack of raw material? So all those things have to be looked into. So I feel that Ranil is on a game where he might tie down this country with some certain agreements that future governments will not be able to renegotiate from. So this is why we have to be very careful what Ranil is up to these days.
And even if you look at the tourism industry, the visa issue, how it affected and how the decisions were made, I mean, it's. I mean, you can't think how the decisions are made.
When you go to any of the foreign travel blogs, or many of them, Sri Lanka is now a laughing stock among foreign travelers for what took place, because those travelers are discussing going somewhere else, whether it's to Malaysia or India or Maldives. They are less likely to come to Sri Lanka.
Let me ask you this question. We became a laughing stock even long before that. Which country appoints a IP, Inspector of Police, right?
IGP.
Who's found guilty by the highest court of the land for committing physical torture on a man? The current IGP. And what did the police minister say? No matter what, we are going to appoint him. Now, what message does that send about rule of law and democracy and good governance? Right? In a normal country, even here, when a police officer is found guilty of torturing someone, the Attorney General charges them under the Torch Act for a normal cop. But our top cop is holding office. And then we have a police minister saying what? For cops who are passing out, the gun is there, don't hesitate to use it. Bit of a cowboy style, right? So I think talking about rule of law, democracy and values in a country where the police minister openly advocates that kind of things and openly appoints a man as IGP who has been found guilty. I mean, they're just laughing at our people, you know. Actually, they are laughing at our people. I feel sometimes Ranil's administration is taking revenge from Sri Lankans for not voting him. That's what he's doing. He's just laughing at us. He's not serious.
And there seems to be such a lack of common sense, Niroshan.
Lack of respect for the citizenry by the government.
Yeah, I think they feel that they're above everybody else and they can get away with anything.
And also that the citizens are fools.
Yeah, I think the way they behave in Parliament, where when we ask questions, the answers they give, and they say something and they just run out of the door, you know, that's how they feel. They don't need to answer to anybody. They are in power forever. That's how we feel. And nobody's going to touch them, and they'll be kings and queens forever. That's how I think even Diana felt when she was in Parliament. But I think ultimately the people will actually win.
They will decide. Yeah, this time they are going to decide.
They will have their power during the election to change all this.
Now, one of the systems that needs to be changed, and I'll address this question to Niroshan first. It's really almost impossible for the citizenry to actually bring any pressure on members of parliament and the cabinet and so on. This is principally because there's no local government, there are no councils. So what would you say about the urgent need to have the local government elections?
So that's the first thing this government did, was to shut down the local government elections because they feared a backlash from the people.
In hindsight, does that seem to have been part of a grand plan?
Of course. I mean, if we had the local government elections, all these politicians would have been very scared by now. But they are in a dream world now because they haven't seen the election result for a couple of years, especially after the Aragalaya. All these Pohottuwa members of parliament or ministers or the prime minister or the president, they might be getting some polling results privately, but publicly they haven't faced the people's wrath. So I mean, they are hiding in their castles and trying to somehow hold on to power. That's what's happening in Sri Lanka.
What's your opinion on that?
If the local elections were held, more or less what he's saying, if local elections were held, there would have been no moral legitimacy for Ranil to hold the presidency or for this parliament to stay, because the local election would have given a completely different result against the Pohottuwa as well as the Ranil's government. So there would have been no moral legitimacy. The reason why they postponed it, because they knew they were going to lose, and they thought they could, distribute land or do something and see if they could get popular. But it had not happened. It had not happened. So no matter whatever the election it is, while I cannot tell you who's going to win, I mean, let's not talk rhetoric like, yeah, he's going to win, no, I'm going to win. I'll assure you one thing. There won't be Ranils, there won't be Rajapaksas, not after October. That I can assure you. Everything else, let's fight it out and see.
But I'm going to put both of you gentlemen on the spot and ask you, should your party, your respective party, win the election, how soon can we expect the local government elections to be held? Niroshan?
Yeah, so if you are facing a presidential election, I think parliamentary elections will come first, and then of course we'll have the other elections right after that. It's very important that, like all these local government or the provincial or other systems of governance is now controlled by the president.
Right.
So it's very important that we give that power back to the people, and the people that are going to be elected through the ballot. So I think democracy has to not only be in parliament or in the president's secretariat, but it has to go to the village level. So it's very important that we have this election free and fair, and that right people who are not corrupt, not only in parliament but even at this Pradesh Sabha and other levels. It's very important that the right people have to be there. Otherwise, there's corruption taking place at the local government level as well.
Harshana, how about your
more
party?
Or less, I believe if we were to win the presidential election, I think the first will be a parliamentary election because we need a government that operates, functions and works, but the other elections will follow very soon as well. Because right now most of these local bodies are defunct. You can't get things done. They're under commissioners. They're not really delivering the services to the people. But I think the chances are if we were to win, first will be a parliamentary election, then the other elections to follow. So, and also I think it's a duty of the political parties. While we keep on saying, okay, fine, you must be intelligent enough to vote for the right person, honest person, then in our list also we must give them. You can't put a set of ponies and ask the public to vote for horses, no. So I believe the political parties also must take responsibility to appoint the right people into the lists.
So the nomination lists are very crucial.
Very crucial, very crucial, right? You have to give them the good people as well. So I think political parties also have a duty to vet and filter whom they are putting forward as candidates. Either way, this country will not go forward without a change, and that change is taking place this year. Let's hope for the best.
And my final question to Niroshan would be, so we're looking at presidential election around September, October of this year, and a parliamentary election 3 or 4 months after that, and then sometime next year we should expect the local government elections.
So that's the scenario we are looking at. Hopefully the presidential election will be held at the right time, and the people will
be free and fair.
Yeah, free and fair, and the election commission and all the other bodies which are responsible for free and fair elections, they will do their duty. And of course the voters, they need to really understand the economic situation of this country, of course, and to get the democracy working again, because we are having so many problems in that area also. And of course, and all the other, for the youth of this country, we need a bright future. So I think a lot of issues are there for the voters to really take in and have an intelligent answer.
The final word from Harshana?
Well, I mean, more or less, I mean, same thing, because at the end of the day, no matter whatever the political party we are divided to, whether you are Muslim, Tamil, Sri Lankan, man, woman, we all want a home to live in, to live happily, to live with our family, friends. Humans are not about just eating, drinking and simple. We are cultural. We have a cultural life. Just to be happy is our right. And this is a country which has all the resources and all the things. While having all the things, I mean, no natural disasters, no earthquakes, no lava or tornadoes, but still we are suffering so badly. So I think people deserve to be happy, and people also must play a role in appointing the right people, and let's have a happier and a better country.
Absolutely. People deserve to be happy, and a government that will ensure that they will be happy. And on that note, I'm afraid we are out of time. My thanks to Niroshan Pereira, Member of Parliament, and Attorney at Law Harshana Nayakara. Thank you very much, gentlemen. And to you at home, thank you very much for watching. Good night.
TV1. TV for life.
Dayasiri Jayasekara exposes a human trafficking ring selling Sri Lankans to the Russian war front.